Hello everyone, today we will move on to the next unit in our syllabus, which is reported speech. To start the lesson, we are going to provide a brief definition of what reported speech is. Also known as indirect speech, reported speech is how we represent what another person said. In reported speech, the emphasis is placed on the content or the intention of the message rather than the exact words used by the speakers. So as to illustrate this, have a look at the following pair of sentences. I didn't realize it was midnight, Barbara said. That is an example of direct speech. And Barbara said that she hadn't realized it was midnight, which is an example of indirect speech. As a starting point, it is important to mention that indirect speech and direct speech consist of two clauses. The reporting clause, that is to say, using a verb in the past simple, and the reported clause, which includes what the speaker said. For example, William said, I need your help. William said is the reporting clause, and I need your help is the reported clause. The postman said he had a package for us. The postman said is a reporting clause, and he had a package for us is a reported clause. She said, I am thinking of moving to Canada. She said is a reporting clause, and I am thinking of moving to Canada is the reported clause. Next, we need to pay close attention to punctuation. For instance, we are going to stop in each of the points and provide a brief example so that you can understand this better. In direct speech, there is a comma separating the reported and the reporting clause. Number 2. The words of the speaker are enclosed between inverted commas. Number 3. If the direct speech is a question or an exclamation, we do not use a comma separating the reporting clause and the reported clause. And number 4. If the reported clause comes first, the commas must be inside the inverted commas. And next we have indirect speech. For instance, number 1. Use the reporting clause first and you don't include a comma. And number 2, we do not use exclamation marks or question marks in indirect speech. It has the form of a statement. In addition to the previous points, note that say and tell are two general reporting verbs with a subtle difference. Say does not take an indirect object and tell needs the indirect object after it. In addition, say can be used to report a question and tell cannot be used for reporting questions. Having said this, we can analyze other important changes that must be introduced in reported speech. For instance, we have first verb tenses. In indirect speech, we have backshift. Backshift consists of basically using a verb tense or modal form in a further back, that is to say, in the past. That is to say that in the case of present tenses, we are going to change, for example, the present simple for the past simple, the present continuous for the past continuous, the present perfect simple and the present perfect continuous for the past perfect simple and the past perfect continuous. In the case of will and be going to, they are going to be changed for would and be going to in the past. And in the case of modal verbs, it is important to mention that not all modal verbs are going to be changed. Shall changes for should in case you are making a suggestion, or would in case you are speaking about the future. Can is replaced for could, may for might, and must for had to. The forms of the modal verbs that do not have a reported form are might, ought to, should, could, and would. Number 2. Pronouns. Pronouns change depending on the subject, that is to say, the person speaking. For example, if you say, I enjoy working in the garden, Bob said, the reported statement should be, Bob said that he enjoyed working in his garden. In the same way, if you say, we are going to sleep, the children said, your reported statement should look like this. The children said they were going to sleep. And finally, number 3, adverbs. Time expressions and place expressions also change in reported speech. Now changes for then, Today changes for that day. Yesterday changes for the day before. Last, for example, last week or last night change for the night or the week before. Tomorrow changes for the following day or the next day, and here changes for there. At this point, also remember that the demonstrative pronouns this and that change for that and those in the case you are using them in the plural, or these in case you are using them in the plural. Finally, we will discuss how to report a question and how to repair the command, but this will be the topic of the following video. So please post your questions in the forum in case you have any, and work on the practice that I will upload. Thanks all for your attention.